If pharmaceutical advertising was suddenly banned from television tomorrow, the entire TV industry would face a financial crisis. If it were to suddenly vanish, would the entire industry crumble like a line of dominoes? I would imagine networks would lose billions in revenue, potentially reshaping how media companies operate and what content they produce. But this financial dependency raises a critical question. Can media outlets truly offer unbiased health information when they rely so heavily on pharmaceutical advertising dollars? Today, I'll examine this conflict of interest and introduce you to hypnotherapy, an effective treatment option for several conditions, yet often overlooked and overshadowed by drug ads. I'll uncover the influence of advertising on media and introduce you to the potential of hypnotherapy as a viable alternative. The $6 billion influence machine. The United States stands alone in the sheer volume of pharmaceutical ads flooding television screens. On average, prescription drug commercials appear 80 times every hour across major networks. This advertising barrage exists because the US and New Zealand remain the only developed nations allowing direct-to-consumer drug marketing. Thanks to relaxed FDA regulations that were established in 1997. This deregulation not only fuels aggressive spending, but also creates a fertile ground for biased news coverage. Pharmaceutical companies spend more on advertising in America than anywhere else, with budgets exceeding $6 billion annually. Research reveals these companies allocate 14.3% more ad dollars to medications, offering minimal benefits over existing treatments compared to truly innovative drugs. In simpler terms, more money is spent promoting drugs that don't significantly improve patient outcomes. A study published in JAMA found areas with heavy drug and exposure saw prescription rates jump by 6%, with 70% of those being entirely new prescriptions rather than improved adherence to existing treatments. This means that in regions saturated with adverts, people are more likely to start new medications, potentially without added health benefits. This advertising strategy creates clear financial incentives for networks. Major cable news channels derive up to 75% of their advertising revenue from pharmaceutical companies during certain programming blocks. The FDA's oversight system relies primarily on self-reporting from these same companies, leaving questionable claims in ads unchecked for months. When networks depend on drug company money, they face potential conflicts in how they cover health stories that might impact their advertisers. The relationship becomes particularly problematic when examining how networks report on drug safety issues. A 2018 study found that medical news segments on major networks mentioned potential side effects in only 26% of stories about newly approved medications. During the same period, those networks ran over 300,000 drug commercials. The FDA receives about 90,000 reports of adverse drug reactions annually, yet these rarely make headlines compared to the constant promotion of new medications. Pharmaceutical companies strategically target their advertising to maximize returns. Data shows they concentrate these ads during medical-themed programming and news segments about health issues. A single block of morning news programming might feature 3 different drug ads between segments discussing healthcare policy. This creates an environment where viewers absorb both the news content and the advertising messages as part of one continuous health narrative. The financial ties between networks and drug manufacturers raise serious questions about editorial independence. When a network's parent company also owns pharmaceutical subsidiaries or relies on drug adverts for survival, can viewers trust the health information they receive? It's like having a referee who also plays for one of the teams. The situation becomes even more complex when considering that many drug ads feature paid physician spokespeople who also appear as expert commentators in news segments. This blurring of lines between expert reporting and advertisement further complicates the trustworthiness of the information that's being presented to viewers. The hidden cost of ad-driven medicine. Direct-to-consumer drug ads don't just raise awareness, they reshape how patients interact with their doctors. Studies show these commercials lead patients to request medications by name, creating what doctors call the Ask Your Doctor effect. For example, consider a patient who saw an advert for a new allergy medication and insisted on it, despite their doctor recommending a generic alternative. This phenomenon also results in patients receiving prescriptions for advertised drugs, even when cheaper alternatives work just as well. A recent analysis found patients exposed to ads were 42% more likely to receive these prescriptions. Journalists covering health topics face unique pressures when their employers rely on pharmaceutical advertising. The partnership between Mayo Clinic and Care 11 illustrates this conflict. Their sports medicine sports desk blended medical advice with network programming, raising questions about media bias. Internal documents reveal brand managers actively seek physicians willing to promote specific drugs, creating key opinion leaders with financial ties to manufacturers. This raises concerns about whether health reporting maintains independence when networks depend on drug company revenue. The prescription data reveals troubling patterns. 70% of prescription increases linked to advertising involved entirely new prescriptions rather than better medication adherence. This suggests that ads primarily expand drug use rather than improve existing treatment outcomes. The opioid crisis serves as a stark example of how aggressive marketing can distort medical practice. In the 1990s, pharmaceutical companies paid physicians large consulting fees to promote opioids for chronic pain, leading to widespread overprescription. Many heavily advertised medications offer marginal benefits. An analysis of top advertised drugs from 2015 to 2021 found fewer than one-third provided high therapeutic value compared to existing treatments. Patients often discover these limitations firsthand. One viewer requested Vuity eye drops after seeing commercials, only to find the expensive prescription ineffective for their condition. Pharmaceutical companies strategically focus advertising on drugs with higher profit margins rather than those with the greatest medical impact. Peer-to-peer marketing amplifies this effect, where physicians receive payments to promote drugs to colleagues. These promotional activities often involve medications where clinical trials show minimal advantage over older, cheaper alternatives. Internal documents show brand managers specifically target primary care physicians who demonstrate enthusiasm for promoting particular drugs. The financial incentives create systematic gaps in public knowledge about treatment options. Therapies that can't be patented or don't require ongoing prescriptions rarely appear in commercials, regardless of their effectiveness. This advertising blackout affects everything from physical therapy protocols to behavioral interventions. Treatments that might work equally well without side effects or long-term costs. Medical research funding follows similar patterns. Studies estimate pharmaceutical companies spend nearly twice as much on marketing as research, prioritizing drugs with strong commercial potential over those addressing unmet medical needs. This skews both physician education and public awareness towards medication-based solutions, when even other approaches might prove equally or more effective. Hypnotherapy, the science-backed alternative. Whilst Big Pharma dominates the advert space, there's another, often overlooked solution that warrants our attention, and that's hypnotherapy. Clinical research shows hypnosis is effective for anxiety, insomnia, and pain management, yet it receives minimal attention compared to drug-based solutions. The American Psychological Association defines hypnotherapy as a therapeutic approach using focused attention to heighten responsiveness to suggestions. Unlike meditation's, shall we say, passive awareness, hypnosis actively guides patients towards specific changes through spoken prompts and therapeutic suggestions. Brain imaging studies reveal hypnosis creates measurable neurological changes. Imagine a conductor guiding an orchestra. Hypnosis influences automatic cognitive processes in a similar way. Research by Amir Raz demonstrated hypnosis can disrupt the Stroop effect, where people struggle to name font colors where the word spells a different color. David Spiegel's work found hypnotic suggestions activate color processing brain regions even when viewing grayscale images. These studies show hypnosis exerts top-down control over perception, where highly hypnotizable individuals showing stronger connectivity between executive function and silence networks. Clinical trials consistently demonstrate hypnosis's pain management benefits, particularly for cancer patients. A meta-analysis of 85 controlled studies found hypnosis provided meaningful pain relief for most participants, with the strongest effects in highly suggestible individuals. Another analysis of 42 clinical pain studies concluded that hypnosis is very efficacious with medium effect sizes. Ongoing research suggests hypnosis may even reduce joint pain caused by breast cancer medications. Unlike opioids or other painkillers, hypnotherapy carries no risk of physical dependence or dangerous side effects. Hypnosis often enhances other therapies when combined with them. Research shows adding hypnosis to cognitive behavioral therapy provides small to medium improvements in treating depression and pain. Anxiety treatments prove more effective when integrating hypnosis compared to standalone interventions. Gary Alkins at Baylor University notes nearly anyone can benefit from clinical hypnosis, though highly hypnotizable individuals may respond faster. Apps like Reverie and Finito now make hypnotherapy more accessible outside clinical settings. Practitioners emphasize hypnosis's practical advantages. David Godot, president of APA Society of Psychological Hypnosis, highlights significant advances in understanding hypnosis's benefits. Guy Montgomery at Mount Sinai's Center for Behavioral Oncology states that simply hypnosis works. Even I can confirm telesessions via Zoom or Skype or WhatsApp or just using a phone prove equally effective as in-person sessions. Having conducted over 20,000 sessions with 5,000 individual clients, I would describe trance as a natural state similar to routine task performance, where the subconscious becomes receptive to therapeutic suggestions. Unlike medications targeting specific symptoms, hypnotherapy addresses root causes through behavioral change and emotional engagement. Suggestions given during trance can alter thought patterns, emotions, and behaviors long-term. Patients report benefits including improved sleep, easier decision-making, and clearer life goals. Consider the story of a patient who overcame anxiety through hypnotherapy, finding newfound confidence and calm. Now, skepticism doesn't hinder results either, as many initially doubtful clients experience the strongest outcomes. However, whilst hypnosis may feel magical to many, it still isn't magic or a quick fix, but rather a process requiring consistency, echoing Milton Erickson's emphasis on learning proper techniques such as Ericksonian language patterns. Conclusion. The pharmaceutical industry's $6 billion advert budget doesn't just promote drugs, it shapes what treatments people even consider. Behind every commercial break is a financial relationship influencing what gets covered and what gets ignored. Research confirms hypnotherapy effectively treats pain, anxiety, and insomnia without medication risks. Yet it rarely appears in mainstream health discussions. Studies show hypnosis alters brain activity with measurable effects on perception and pain processing. When drug commercials dominate screens, alternatives remain invisible by comparison. hidden treasures such as hypnotherapy are not being funded by Big Pharma, you see. On a more personal note, as a foreigner living in the US for over 10 years now, I still chuckle when I see pharmaceutical adverts on TV. As we discussed, it's illegal to advertise in almost all other countries. And yet in the US, it's not only allowed, but encouraged because of a perception that there's no other option. Hopefully, you understand now that there is another option, a non-pharmacological hypnotic intervention where one can explore. My method is simply to help and heal clients, and it's been very successful based on the countless clients' reviews and satisfaction testimonials. So the next time you see a prescription an advert, ask yourself, is this the best treatment that's being advertised? Reflect on your own experiences with these ad-driven health narratives and consider exploring different options beyond the TV screen. This is Marco Orcello. Thank you for watching.